Welcome to Break the Needle. I'm your host, Adam Zivo, and I'm here to tackle Canada's problems with addiction and crime. Today, we're going to talk with Callum Bagnall, a student and former drug user whose dependency on opioids was fueled by easy access to diverted, safer supply drugs. For context, safer supply refers to the practice of distributing taxpayer funded recreational drugs to addicts under the assumption that this dissuades use of riskier street alternatives. This predominantly means handing out large volumes of hydromorphone, an opioid as powerful as heroin. Canada began to widely provide safer supply from 2020 onwards, although within a few years it was discovered that these programs were being widely defrauded and that a significant portion of their hydromorphone pills were simply being resold on the black market. While British Columbia restricted access to safer supply in early 2025, the experiment continues to run in Ontario, where Callum is based. Welcome to the show, Callum.
Thanks for having me, Adam.
Now, how did your addiction begin, and what were you initially addicted to?
My addiction sort of began in 2019 to 2020, mainly with experimenting with Percocets, and then it kind of graduated to doing oxys and stuff in 2020 to 2021. And near the beginning to the middle of 2021, I sort of got, I ran out of money, and I had been working with a guy who was in public housing, and he knew a lot of people who were on safe supply. And he said, "Hey, man, if you run out of money, these guys are getting them for free. They'll basically, if you give them a few dollars, they'll give you a pill." You know,
And what was your reaction when you learned about this?
at first I was taken aback. I said, like, "Is that real? Is that that can't be a thing, can it?" And he said, "No." Like, I was surprised too, but it's a real thing. And if you come here, you can find out.
And how did you buy your safer supply? Did it come in prescription bottles? What were the amounts that you were buying these drugs in? Sketch for us just what this actually looked like in practice for you.
hmm it did come a lot in pill bottles. Sometimes they'd rip the name off the label, or they'd cover it up with Sharpie. Sometimes not so much. And there was usually a good amount. They always had. You had to be quick to get the dilaudits. They would run out pretty quickly. They were very popular, but the morphine pills, the slow release morphine pills, and the slow release hydromorphone pills, those were always in stock. So you could buy those extremely cheap because nobody really wanted them. And those ones are strong too. They're like 100 milligrams. So near the end, I was mixing and matching both. So I would buy like probably around like 30 to 50 dilaudits mix in with 30 to 50 Cadians or Eslons.
Okay, and just for clarification, Dilaudid is the brand name for hydromorphone, the short-acting drug that has been distributed through these safer supply
Yeah.
programs. Now, how much did these pills cost for you when you purchased them from Safe Supply versus what it was like to buy them on the streets before safer supply became widely prevalent?
Um, Before it came widely prevalent, hydromorphone pills, especially the dilaudits, were pretty expensive. Like, I remember being sold a couple times 8 milligram dilaudits for about $10 to $15 a pill, sometimes more. And the slow release sort of hydromorphones and morphine pills were very hard to come by. They only really, most people only got it for major surgeries and stuff. So you never really came across that until Safe Supply came around. And then, then you could get as many as you wanted, essentially, as long as you knew who had them, or if your dealer was trading with somebody who was on Safe Supply, because that was another way it got into the market as well.
And just for a quick clarification, it was a well-known truth within these addiction circles in London, Ontario, that Safe Supply was being widely trafficked.
Oh yeah, it was well known. Like I sometimes I would even mention it when I would go to pick them up. I'd say, "Isn't this crazy that this is still going on?" They'd be like, "Yeah, it is, but might as well just go along with it while it's here."
Yeah, I mean, there are a few things as insane as some of the public policies we've seen recently when it comes to addiction and mental health. Now, obviously, this destabilized you. We're going to get more into that when we get back from the break and understand how safe supply negatively impacted your life.